Good evening. Being the fag end of the session, I'm looking at some empty chairs, and I hope the chairs which are occupied at least have my attention. I wanted to talk today about how should a small or medium business enterprise be concerned about corporate excellence, and what role does corporate governance plays in achieving that excellence. So without much ado, I wanted to start with what Peter says. He says that as businessmen or as professionals, we will all do a lot of things in life, and it is the small things in life that consistently and effectively kind of build something. Corporate governance is one of those things. We generally expect that only when the company is big enough or we have substantial revenues do we need to worry about this. The fact of the matter is that the building blocks for corporate governance are not built at the fag end of your journey. It's built when the company itself is formed and started. Why do we need this at any stage in a corporate life? How can we lay the foundation? And why speed is not important in a company's journey but sustainability is. These are the three issues that I would tackle in my presentation. Governance, excellence and reputation are three things I feel which are closely interlinked. Most customers or stakeholders demand a particular kind of service or performance from the company. So do the investors and the suppliers. Employees who want to join a company are also looking for that little something which will ensure that this company will not fold up or will not suddenly vanish. They're also looking for sustainability. The community around that you function also demand that you be responsible towards them. And it is not that governance does not help at any stage. It helps at all stages. Any company with better governance is able to attract better talent at much lower salaries. They're able to get repeat customers because the customer is satisfied much more with the quality of the product or the service. The market also values such companies much higher than their competitors. They have a lower cost of raising capital per se, whether it is from the equity markets or from the debt markets. The community is much more responsive to such companies during times of distress. And the reputation part. It gets credible publicity which allows them to build a brand name versus paying for every advertising. When we think about a governance model, we need to think and have a systems approach to it. It is not one single thing that we need to do. There are multiplicity of acts that a company needs to do. One of them is thinking about a board, for instance. I know smaller companies do not have this thinking of a board or a independent this thing. But they can think about a group or a peer group of friends who can act as proxy public shareholders, even when the company is not public. The objective of this particular board would be to bounce off ideas, to tell the CEO or the founder about things that he should be doing or not doing. The objective of doing this exercise should be that the company should be looking just beyond revenue and profits. While there are necessary revenue and profits, in the long run, valuations and capital, which sustains growth, depends upon the quality of your profits. So therefore, what systems and policy can be put in place in the initial formation stage so that your business model is future-proof? Most companies I know don't want to build taxable profits. They feel that, paying to the government is really not in their interest. But they don't realize that if your balance sheet does not have a history of taxable profits, then going forward you face challenges in raising money, both from banks and from the equity market. You also need to have a reinvestment model where your profits are plowed back in the company. The company is not emptied completely of all profits. And this reinvestment needs to happen in HR and financial practices. The board in a small company is actually is your alter ego. It can be a single individual, a mentor. It can be your parents. It can be your friend. The CEO or the founder generally defines the direction, but the board in these cases helps in, not in getting business, but helps in formulating the direction clearly. And the definition for this mentor or this friend is as important, I feel, as the business itself. Most people, when they start company, don't think that this company will outlive them and will have an identity of its own. And the board is the first foundation to ensure that there is a sustainability going forward. If you have such a model in place, it also helps the board or your mentor to focus on the larger issues. It allows you to delegate down the line. This delegation is without meddling, and you can truly lead the organization. The assumption in any enterprise should be that the enterprise does not belong to the single owner. While the ownership does drive passion and ensures the success, but the outlook should be that this is something being built for future stakeholders, shareholders, and it is not just for the CEO or his family. Therefore, when you start looking at the company in that manner, and you start treating your board or your mentor in that manner, you will also delink the chairman and the CEO position. If this happens, and if you are able to identify a person early in a company's life who can serve as a chairman, who is not a family member, then you have actually set up a strong foundation. The challenge is that most small enterprises are worried about today. They're worried about the next order, they're worried about the next business, they're worried about whether the customer will pay or not pay. They're worried about all these things. And it is this worry which kind of forces them to take decisions which are, I would say, not ethical, which cannot be said as part of a good corporate governance practice. But this is where the so-called paradox exists. If you're so worried about today, then you will never be able to create a future. You will be able to generate certain revenues, and you will be able to drive certain business for some period of time, but it's never possible that you will have a sustainable enterprise. As you go along, you will find that it will be a hand-to-mouth existence. You will forever be struggling between revenues of this month versus revenue of next month. Moreover, as we will see going forward, government scrutiny and disclosures, not only for public company, but even for private companies, will increasingly rise. We are moving into a highly regulatory kind of structures. There was this thinking 10 years back that the market forces will define regulations. That thinking has been turned on its head, basically because the market has not been able to regulate. Now the thinking is that there needs to be regulation and there needs to be micro regulations. There needs to be direction setting. I mean, there's a government in power now which is even thinking of putting in regulations to say that how much should you spend on your CSR activities. Now this was something that was unthinkable even 4 years, 5 years back. There's a government in power which is thinking about how many people will you employ, and should there be a reservation in your employment, even for private enterprises. Now, if these things in a democratic country like ours will come in place, they will affect you. I mean, when they affect you, at that point in time, you will realize the importance that good corporate governance practices play. Of course, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy in the sense that if you have this in place, you are able to attract people who believe in these practices too. And when you attract people like that, they add much more value to your organization than you adding to them. And these are the people who remain with you. So, if you follow a track where the non-ethical part or I wouldn't even say that illegal part, because laws do get changed, but that past can no longer be rubbed away. And it will always stay with the organization. Most people kind of worry that the ends will justify the means. The organization structure is built with an independent board and a CEO to ensure that the ends don't justify the means. And that's the job of the board. They have to keep telling the CEO, yes, this is what I want the organization to achieve, but I don't want it to achieve it to an acceptable means. They can say that our expectations have not been met, but they can't accept the fact that unethical things have been used to achieve those. So, in a quick summary, governance is not something that is related to size. It is an enabler to sustainable excellence and reputation. Reputation has a tangible impact on the bottom line, and governance must be owner-driven, not management-driven. The end means limit. Model must ensure accountability, transparency, and objectivity, and lay out in clear terms the board management equation. Preparing a governance roadmap is more a question of attitude, not size or situation. Thank you. Any questions if you have? Thank you.